Good morning. Happy Monday. How many happy Mondays have we had? How long have we been doing this for? 2 years?
I think a little bit
Than
longer.
2 years?
I think so.
Would you say it's 2 years, Rob?
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a long
Really?
time. A lot of
Damn.
Mondays.
Well, we've been saying happy Monday for a long
At
time.
least
So,
over 100.
wow. Well, happy. We have to find an answer to that.
Yeah.
Happy Monday. It is time to rise and grind, baby. If, again, Sunday's the Lord's and relaxation day, Monday's about getting after it, and let's get after it today. So we got a lot of good topics. Let's have you start first.
Okay. I am going to kick off with automations because last week we had a lot of different events that we went to.
Mm-hmm.
And listening to some conversations, it was mind blowing to hear that some business owner people are still doing things manually, which, like, we're in 2025. You need to automate your workflows, especially if you're a small business owner, so that you can focus on actually growing your business, elevating the products or services that you offer, not sitting there manually reaching out to every single lead that comes in. There's ways to automate that completely through SMS and email, or taking those that come in and then sitting there and manually putting them into your CRM. Same thing with, social distribution. There's so many ways that you can automate your workflows. And if you aren't doing that, you're probably wasting a lot of time, whereas there's these tools and platforms that can help you with it. The tricky part is knowing how to set it up. So if you don't know how, give us a shout because we're really good at that. But going into 2026, look at where you're spending your time. And if you're spending it on manually taking information and putting it into another platform, you need to stop doing that so you can focus on something else.
Yeah. Not only that, though, but also it's like once you have somebody come into your system, you can also automate things like your orders, how things get put into your system, invoicing, inventory management. There are so many ways you can automate things outside of just leads,
right,
that help you get time back in your day / whoever in your team's day is. Because that's the thing with this whole AI and automation, the whole play here is that you can have more time focused on things that matter. Like you worrying about following up with leads or / following up with, or like worrying about like being on top of inventory or where things are going. That's something that's really, really important. And I remember when, what was it called? Grubhub was like the first really one to come out with like the online, delivery service and ordering and stuff for everybody. And I remember there were people who because you didn't have the iPad like that back then. So like you get an order notification and people would like write it on a ticket and go bring it back, and things would get all discombobulated.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like a mess.
Right. And the point to what you're saying is that like now when you look at Uber Eats or DoorDash, you have to have a POS in the actual physical location. And there's a whole bunch of automations that come through. So like everything you could ever want from that order is there in front of you, who the delivery driver is, when they're going to be there. So that literally you just got to cook the food and then that's it.
Right.
Whereas before you had to do a lot of that legwork.
Yeah.
So anyway, automate your systems, fam.
Definitely. Do you want to do a recap since we were talking about the events of Elevate Leadership?
Yeah. Week? So honestly, Elevate Leadership was great. There was a lot of good speakers that were there. One of the things that I spoke on the panel about was like essentially the relationship with failure and what you do with failure, and the integral part of failure is to success. And there was a lot of people that said a lot of different things, right? Like I think the main theme was like, failure is obviously a key ingredient to success, right? Like you have to figure out the things that don't work so you can understand things that do work. And then there were some people who said things like, well, the only way you could fail is if you give up, right? So like there was a bunch of those things that took place. But I think ultimately the one thing that really stood out was the fact that like most people don't get into certain things because they're scared of failure. And like that's the key here, is like not letting failure stop you, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing, because the people who are crazy enough to like run a business or manage people or like do any of those things where you're in like an executive or a leadership position, failure or the worry of failure is always like around you.
Well,
right?
I think people look at it as a negative thing, where, like you said, the only way you really learn is by trial and error, right? And that was, going back, if you look all throughout history, the way that we learned and evolved is by making mistakes and then fixing whatever it is from it. So, I think that more leaders need to fail a little bit, or not be afraid to fail, like you said, so that you can take risks and just try something new. But it was really interesting, the advice last week in that event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And ultimately, again, at the end of the day, it's like, I'm going to kind of parlay this into my next topic
Mm-hmm.
with college kids. But the event that we spoke at was for primarily Georgian Court. Monmouth University had some active students there.
Mm-hmm.
And and one of the things that, like, you know, speaking of failure and, you know, building your portfolio, or like, you know, yourself in a career, the biggest thing is this: like, at the end of the day, like, when I look back at my own experience, when I started Adapting Social, I didn't have anybody that was there saying like, hey, go do this, go do that. Like, I'm stubborn. I also like to try to figure things out on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I was doing these things, and I was constantly, I wouldn't use the words failing, right? Because I never really gave up, but like, I was not doing them right. And then not doing it right had consequences. And either way, my point is that, like, you know, I stayed in the game. I kept trying to learn. And my mentality was, hey, if I'm in this long enough, eventually people will be like, I want to give John a shot. Like, let me give John a shot. And, you know, 17 years later, here we are, and that is happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you have to, if you're going to do something, you have to be in it for the long haul. That's the biggest thing. Like, if you're going to do it, be all in, burn the boats. You can't leave the island. That's the only way that you're actually going to get after it and do something meaningful and actually dominate and be a master at something. But so now, parlaying to the college kids thing, one of the biggest things that when I started Adapting Social, I was going door to door and pretty much doing shit for free. Like, I was all focused on, like, how can I get people to trust me enough to make them a website, or to, you know, do, you know, their photography. And yes, I used to do photography. It was not great, for the record. It was not Emily status, for sure. But, you know, so I did it for free until people actually gave me a shot and they would talk about it. And I think the issue is, and I noticed this because we used to have a great internship program, like I mentioned at the event, that Megan and Chris led up. And when I think about it, like, most people this day and age, and I will actually say that I understand why, because when I was growing up, there wasn't as much influence that there is today. Like MySpace and, like, you know, early Twitter and early Facebook days, you weren't really bragging as much, right? Like, it wasn't like, oh, this dude's got a brand new car, this guy's living his dream life.
You weren't showing your lifestyle.
No, you were post. Like, I remember one of my first posts that I don't know why it's so memorable was that I was at the Hibachi in Brick. I was like legit at the Hibachi. I was like, yo, I'm at Hibachi. Put it on MySpace. It was
a lot more real, and today I feel like it's a lot more perception based.
Yeah,
like, people post their super highs and not their lows, or not the reality of their day to day.
Right.
Yeah.
So with that said, it's understandable that when you come out of college, or if maybe you didn't go to college, but like, you want to be at a certain level already. But the point, though, is that, like, nobody sees that grunt work that's happening behind the scenes that makes that person successful. So what am I saying? I'm saying, if you are going to school to do something, let's just say you're a graphic designer, right? Like, you should go and get a ton of businesses that will allow you to do rebrands, and you do them all for free or next to nothing, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they just decide to pay you because they out of the kindness of their hearts. But if you have 10 to 15 to 20 pieces of portfolio of businesses that people can see and feel and look at, now you're somebody that's worthy to have a conversation with about, you know, working with a company, or, you know, being hired for a project, etc. People want to see experience. And that's the thing. Like, when you know, I always joke around and say, like, if I applied at Adapting Social today, I wouldn't get hired. Like, there's real tough requirements to be in Adapting Social now, whether it's, you know, experience is the number one thing. But I remember back when, you know, you and Chris made the hiring process a lot more sophisticated. And it was like, well, where did they go to college? How long they go? What was their, like, GPA and shit? And I was like, damn. Like, but now I think it's now a big hybrid with main focus on experience.
Yeah.
So if somebody's like, hey, I've been doing SEO for 10 years, didn't go to college, versus somebody who went to college at the best SEO school, even though it doesn't exist, you know, and they just graduated, I'm going with the 10 years. So
agreed.
You know, it's like, at the end of the day, businesses in this current climate, they are looking for experience, and they want to see results. They want to see portfolios. They want to see things. So anyway, all this to say, build your portfolio. Don't worry about making money. Your time in the beginning is not worth anything. And that's the problem, right? When you want, you know what your worth is, but the world in the marketplace doesn't. And that's what was at first a struggle for me. Then I had to understand, like, hey, you know what? They don't care about me, and they don't owe me anything. So I have to make adapting social sexy enough for them to consider it. So when you're building your career, anybody who is a college kid's listening right now, make sure that you first keep that mindset in place. Because if you're, and it goes back to the people when you are in a career, if you're going above and beyond and you're doing whatever it takes, and like the old quintessential, you're the first one in, last one out, you know, you're trying to help everywhere. It's not a matter of that's not my job. If you're that person, you're going to grow through the ranks very quickly, right? And if you're the person that's not my job, I don't know how to do that, I'm not doing that, then you're not going to grow, and you are somebody who is a liability, not an asset. So I hope college kids learn that.
Well, and you mentioned something earlier that I think is good to add to that too, of you had to stick to something and you thought that if you stuck to it long enough, then people would give you a shot. And I think that speaks for college students too. Like, it's going to be really tough, but don't try it for 2 months and then decide, okay, this isn't working out for me, I'm not getting opportunities, I need to move on to something else. You really, really, really have to stick through it. Even if you mentioned getting businesses to do rebrands or something of that sort, like, go shoot your shot, and you're probably going to get told no 100 times, but the few yeses that you get are going to propel you in your career. So stick with something.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that.
All right. I am going to talk about some updates on Instagram, which I'm really excited about this one. They released a watch history, which is great because I can't tell you.
We don't want to see Megan's watch history.
My watch history is probably so many dogs.
That's her cover up. Every time she's like, yeah, it's so many dogs. Like, no, it's like people get
so
murdered.
Many dogs. Oh my God. I do have to say though, like, occasionally my For You page, like, I'll be scrolling and it's like happy. And then
we
it's
do a
like
live
violence.
And let's get a live version. Where's your phone?
That's okay. It's in the other room.
Rob, got her phone.
But so with watch history, so, you know, have you ever like seen something and you go to show Jacqueline or a friend and then you realize you haven't liked it or saved it and you're like, well, I can't find the video now because I didn't engage with it. Now it's saving your watch history for 30 days so you can go back and just find the video that you wanted to show someone. And so maybe not relevant to some, but relevant to most people for them to make it a feature. However, they did steal it from TikTok.
Damn, all the girlfriends out there and wives are going to be checking their husbands' and boyfriends' histories. Uh-oh.
That's funny.
Peeps is in trouble.
That's so funny. That's not what I thought about at all.
Megan has a whole plan ready.
No, that's not what I thought of at all. I just definitely have been there, like, with recipes. You gotta be able to delete the history, right? I'm sure you can delete your history. But like recipes, like I see a lot of recipes.
Rob's deleting it right now. Look at him. Thick Latina is being deleted like, as we speak right now.
Shoot, I gotta go fix this. Like,
and like someone, thick with 2 C's, Rob.
Yeah.
He's not even denying it, the guy. Anyway.
He's like, I gotta go check this out. Anyway, check
Chris,
out
if
your
you're
watch
watching,
history.
Start deleting.
Check out your watch history.
Oh man. That's really cool though. I actually like that for a lot of reasons. You listen, Instagram is different. Like if you're scared about your watch history on Instagram, I mean, that's dangerous. But I feel like a lot of the stuff that I'm watching on it, or that I feel like most people watch on it, are things that like you do want to share with somebody. Like I have friends that send me quadrillions of memes a day. And it's like, damn, if I saw something, speaking of, where like I got motivated to that billboard video because I saw a video on Instagram that was a drone going over a city, and it showed different cities, and that kind of computed for me. I was like, all right, cool, like we'll do that. But like, and it was with that Jay-Z song, and so I was like, that's really cool. So it gave me that idea, but guess what? I can never find it actually. So I saw it and I was like, where was that? And I couldn't find it. So
you didn't like it or save it.
I didn't, right. So exactly to your point.
Yeah. So now you can go to your watch history and do. This past weekend, I really wanted to make a certain type of crumb cake that I saw. Didn't like it, didn't save it. I must have spent 20 minutes just trying to go back and find it. So
I actually, you know what's funny? I actually find myself in that position, like not super often, but like a few times I can think about
enough to remember it, right? That it's a issue or a problem for you. Yeah, so that's exciting. Now you'll have watch history. And then they also are releasing AI editing for Instagram stories. So this is going to be really interesting because now it's going to be not so much a content creation tool, but truly like AI editing. So if there is something in the background that you want to remove, you can ask the prompt to remove it from your background of stories. Or if you wanted to add something, like if we wanted to add like a giant trophy in the middle here, you would be able to do that, as well as transitions in the actual video that you're posting. So
one of the things that it did, so that's all really cool.
Mhm.
Meta is always trying to remove every app outside of Meta. So like all the AI things are now like going to be interesting. But I remember the first did an update and I took a picture horizontally, and I was like, damn, because I hate putting horizontal pictures in stories. I just hate how that looks.
Yeah.
And so the AI button was like, do you want to fill the rest of the picture out? Because there's like trees that would go above it, and it did it automatically. And I was like, damn, this is fucking sick.
Yeah.
So
that's nice.
I mean, video like that's gonna be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like you said, I think they're trying to figure out how to get rid of so many other apps. Like a lot of people edit in CapCut as an example, or in Adobe with the AI fill-in tool. So now you can do it directly in Instagram.
That's cool.
Yeah. All right, screenless phones.
Yeah, I keep having this conversation because a lot of us are having conversations around like, well, what does marketing in 2026 look like? What does marketing in 2027 look like? Like, we're always focused on the future here. And I think the biggest thing is that right now, if you haven't heard this already from me, you have Johnny Ives, who designed the MacBook, the iPhone, the iPad, all these amazing devices that we see today. He is one of the lead people that he's an industrial designer or engineer, better yet. But essentially, he's the person who made all these iconic products that everyone loves and holds and has in our pockets. Now, he's in the process of making, essentially he left Apple in 2019, silently, by the way. It wasn't like a big announcement. He bowed out silently, started his own business in creating these devices, and then got purchased recently by OpenAI. And so him and Sam Altman at OpenAI, there's commercials out there. If you go to YouTube and type in Johnny Ives, Sam Altman commercial, they're talking about the devices of the future, which are like a year to 2 years out. I think it's 2 years out. Not currently. They're not going to have screens. And so what does that mean, right? So like, and you have two people who are really, really gung-ho on humans being back, like present in nature and not staring at a screen. So with that said, when we're having these conversations with our clients, like, hey, if you're not ranking, or if you're not even in the thought process of making sure that you're, generative engine optimized, then you are going to be in a problem. If you don't know what that means that when ChatGPT, somebody's searching something that has to do with your industry, if you're not there, then you're dead, right? Like, and it's like equivalent to like back then with Google, right? Like Google is a very high intent place for most people. If I'm looking for a surfboard and I'm on Google, then guess what? I'm looking to buy a surfboard potentially. At least my intent is very high. If I'm on Facebook and Instagram, I got served an ad, I might not be in the market for a surfboard, even though I'm a surfer. So with that said, with GPT, these, and these other large language models, people in the future, even more so than now, are going to be having conversations with these things like they're their assistants and friends. So, we live in a world since the dawn of time where people would, learn or get like word of mouth from a friend that said, hey, I recommend this shower door company, or you should talk to this one accountant, you should talk to this one attorney, it's my trusted attorney, trust this guy. Well, the future is AI being that person that's going to recommend those things, and you being the business that is recommended and making sure that you're positioned well for that is really important. And that's what we're doing right now for all of our clients. Over 90% of our clients are already ranking in, AI overview and in these large language models. So again, if your business, or if you know somebody who isn't ranking, definitely have them reach out to Adapting Social. But with that said, again, the phones of the future aren't going to have screens. So what does that mean, right? It makes me think about when I was younger and I would get home from school in elementary school and I couldn't wait to go on AIM, right? And I'd be like, boom, I'm jumping on AIM. And I was Johnny V.
What
Baby.
a throwback.
Yeah, I was Johnny V. Baby 69. And I don't know why. And by the way, I don't know why those numbers popped up, okay?
You don't know why?
I was real young. I don't even know what they meant, honestly. I really didn't know what they meant at the time. So it was innocent at the time, I swear. But with that said, I'd run home and I'd be like so pumped to log on. Boop, boop, boop. And then my mom, at the time when it was dinner time, I had to be done, right? So it's like, your day was divided by being super hyper present. And then when you wanted to go on, your devices, you'd have to go home, right, to go do that. So maybe people are I think most people are gonna carry 2 devices or whatever. We'll see, because I think it might be interesting, like with email. Like I don't know if I would want to be write a whole email and then have to respond, or like I wouldn't know how to, like, yeah, I don't know. That part seems tricky to me.
Yeah.
But that's why it's taking years to build this, so that it's going to be insane. And again, Johnny Ives is somebody who is an absolute iconic legend when it comes to building the devices that we all love and know. So anyway, with that said, it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to that.
I was going to say, I'm kind of excited for it too.
Yeah.
I feel like people's eyesight is going to be so much better
Yeah.
by not looking at a screen all
Yeah.
day, every day, or just like the blue light. You don't even realize how it affects you,
Right.
because we're so used to it. We see it everywhere, from our computers, tablets, phones, TVs.
Mhm.
So to have a life without a screen in your face 24/7 is
Yeah.
going to be
Well,
very interesting.
and I'll give a shout out to Bree. I thought this was interesting. My cousin-in-law Bree, she came over our house the other day on a weekend. It was last weekend, and she was like, "I got to give you guys my new number." And we're like, "What?" And she had like an old school flip phone. She's like, on the weekends, I'm not reachable, like, and I'm not gonna be on my phone, so I have a flip phone in case of emergency. So if you need me, this is my phone. Like it's legit, like a geriatric, like not like something fancy at all. She's
Love
like,
that for her.
yeah.
That's
I was
so
like,
cool.
interesting.
That's really
Interesting.
cool. I keep seeing a lot of people get home phones again,
Mhm.
so that when they're home, it's like if you really need me, and they only give their home phone number out to
Right.
family, like that
Mhm.
would need to call them. But it's like when I'm home and you need me, you can call the home phone, and when I'm
Mhm.
out, I'll bring my cell phone. But then you're not, carrying your phone around from room to room to room.
Mhm.
when
The
you're at
guy
house.
Simon of America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
He only has a car phone
Wow.
and a house phone.
Wow, a car phone.
And it's so funny because he's like this posh brick dude.
Yeah.
But he's like, I can't be bothered with those devices. They're for kids.
I mean, he's not wrong. Think about how much free time he has.
Right. He's just pondering.
He's just thinking all day long.
Well, honestly, because I was thinking about it, right? Like, no, think about that. Like today, when this whole thing took place, like with me going on the horses and stuff, I was running in the woods, and I left my phone home, and there was so much to think
You
about.
went running in the woods without your phone? That's so dangerous. Don't do that
I thought
again.
about that after the fact, but I was like, damn, I don't have my phone. I have no.
You don't even have a smartwatch either. It's
No.
like, yeah.
And so I'm just like, damn, like if I fall or like a tree hits me, I'm nobody's gonna find me. Like,
Yeah, you need
but
life
anyway,
alert or something.
but it's like, it just leaves you to think so much about your present, and I think that's the cool part. It's just being super dialed in your presence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But, we need more of that.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, that was actually the last topic today.
Last topic. All right, what motivation you got for us for today?
I was prepared
Emily.
today. Emily's prepared too.
Emily, hit us with that motivation Monday.
All right. Well, I don't have it like perfectly worded out.
It's okay.
I was just thinking, but actually you kind of segued into it talking about presence, because I've been thinking a lot lately about, I feel like I've just been waking up like grateful more often, and just thinking about like how grateful for everything I have, how grateful for everything I am right now, like everything that I have, and how like all these little moments, like even like with Moo and stuff, like they're just like not gonna last forever. I feel like everything relates back to Moo because I love him so much. But like, I don't know. It's just, I've just been thinking a lot about that lately, like just being more present and like taking advantage of like opportunities that are there right now, and how like no like same, like the moment won't ever exist exactly the same again. Like no 2 moments are ever the same.
That's true.
So on that thought, maybe John will have a good way to like phrase that into a motivational quote. I don't know, but like, I've just
my wheels are turning.
Yeah, I've just been feeling like, I don't know, really present and really grateful. And with that, just like it's a mindset shift when you wake up too, and just look at your week ahead. You're not like, oh, I have like so much, or I have work. Like instead, you're like excited about life and like the opportunities that you have, and excited to say yes to things, and look at your week with a different perspective.
I love that. All right. I'm kind of, my wheels are turning out here.
He's the boss, so he's going to phrase it better.
No, I think you said it so perfectly. I love authentic, raw thoughts. So that was so amazing. I think one of the things that just kind of like also contributes to like my weekend and like my own, like you guys know, and anybody who watches knows that like I always talk about like my mental health and like mental health in general. And I was listening to something over the weekend, and it really hit me deep into what you're saying about being present and grateful, because when you think about all of the way that we perceive the world, right? It's like our five senses are senses that perceive the external world.
Mhm.
They have nothing to do with your internal world, right? Like your own internal balance and your own, mindset, or some people say chakra, right? But so the thing is that like when we allow our lives to be ran by those five senses, right? What we're constantly having outside, it disrupts our internal balance, right? And that for me has been pretty much my whole life, right? So what I was doing was understanding like that. So all right, so I again, I'm gonna go deep here for a sec. So bear with me here. I'm gonna start rambling and shit. Yeah, good. So yep. Okay. So with that said, so the thing I was reading was essentially sharing that like your body, right, and those five senses,
Mhm.
they are not you, right? And so these like there's this guy, I don't know how to pronounce his name, SADH Guru, Sadha Guru or something like that. But anyway, great dude. If you guys look him up, he's really, really brilliant guru dude. But he talks about how like your body and your mind are separated from you.
Mm.
And he's like, when you think about it, right, when you're feeling anxious or depressed, it's your body throwing you signals. And the difference is that like picture it like a bus, right? Like a school bus. You're technically, yes, you're the driver, you're the captain, but you have a crew in that bus, or I can think of a better example is a captain in a ship, but you're driving the ship, but you have crew members that are going to make suggestions, right? If you felt anxious before, it's going to flag up, hey.
Oh, there's a Disney show on this.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
A Disney movie. Oh, I feel like with 3 kids, you had to have seen it.
Oh, I
like,
think
it's like all the emotions.
Yeah, I haven't
Inside
seen it,
Out. Oh, you gotta watch it. You're gonna love it.
So, but with that said, though, when you allow yourself to understand the difference between, because your body stores memories and files of all of the things that you didn't like, or you consider trauma, or you could consider really happy, whatever. You don't control those files being stored, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You only control short-term memory. What we're talking about here right now is conscious, not subconscious. So anyway, all that to say is like the way that you get to a place of complete peace and gratitude, this guy was saying, and that I started meditating on this past weekend, I feel fucking so clear, was that like when you get to that balance of understanding your awareness that like you are not your body and you are not your brain. Yes, you're connected, but you're not it. It gets you to the point of where you can be fully grateful and not have the expectations of like, well, today is going to be a shit day, or today is going to be tough because I have XYZ to do, or blah, 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 because you're just an observer viewing life. Right. So anyway, I'm going too deep into this shit, but anyway, I was thinking about what you were sharing there, because I think ultimately at the end of the day, it's like we all at one point have gone through things or have been wronged by people or things or companies or whatever. And it's like when you find yourself in a position where you understand that everything that happened was supposed to happen. Nothing has ever happened, even unfortunately terrible things. Everything has happened and was designed to happen that way. At least I believe. And so in our lives, we were brought through these challenges and these traumas and stuff because it was supposed to make us stronger and it was supposed to make us tougher. And again, sometimes that is a tough thing to deal with, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's not just like, oh, great, I'm going to be stronger from this. Sometimes it's like, damn, I hate my life, right? And I don't want to be here. But ultimately, again, hopefully people don't go that route, right? And you kind of leverage that mindset. But I think to your point though, Em, it's like, at one point, like I literally had this moment yesterday. I took my kids to church for the first time since everybody's been baptized. And I'm sitting there in this pew at the church that I went to growing up. And I remember being, starting the business, being super anxious kid, like not knowing what I was going to do with my life. Again, didn't go to college. I was like, what the fuck am I going to do with my life? And praying for things and like, just wishing. And then I remember eventually I met Jacqueline and I was in that same pew with her. And then we're praying because we couldn't have kids. And then I sat there with my entire family. My parents were there, my siblings were there, and then my kids were all there. I'm like, damn. At one point I sat in this pew, like thinking, I can't have kids. Why can't I have kids? praying for kids and praying for the life that I have now. And this morning was extremely overwhelming, right? like I had to like Chenzo was going to my mom's house. We're getting ready to walk out of the house, and he pooped on the way into the car. So I had to go back inside.
You're like, but then were you grateful?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
My point, right? So it's like I wanted these things, and now I have them, and they come with a lot of things. So that's why people also say, be careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think that was fire. I appreciate that. Being grateful and having gratitude definitely opens up, I think, a lot more opportunities too for people.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And I was going to say, like what you were saying, how you observe your thoughts. Like, I feel like once you start getting a little bit of momentum of like, you've been observing, like, wow, I've been feeling like really grateful. I've been feeling really present. I'm like finding a lot of peace. Like it just sparks like a little bit more momentum, like each day to kind of like build up and lead into that. And kind of, if you're in a rut, get you out of that. And yeah. And just to know that like the time is now to just do things, and that like the moment won't always be there or like present itself. So that's what I've been feeling.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
I really love that.
And I think that's good too, because most people think that they can just change their mindset overnight, and that just doesn't happen. You have to continuously train your brain. So to observe and, like you said, build momentum each day. That's how you ultimately change your entire perspective of life. Yeah.
Facts.
Love that, Em. Good one.
Yeah, that was a really good one. All right, guys. That's what she wrote. That's all she wrote. Happy Monday. Hope you crush your week ahead, guys. We'll see you back here next Monday.